Boom. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's August the 10th, 2023, and we hope that you are rising to shine. Put your feet on the floor, mama. Get into that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. It's time for the kids to get up and go to school. It's time for you to grab a cup of coffee. A last few minutes of peace and quiet before the whole world comes crashing in on your calendar. So rise and shine, little darling. It's another glorious Marine Corps morning. It's time for the morning word. All right, let me see if I can get you guys dialed up here this morning. Let me see if this thing is, oh, here we go. Let's do it this way. Turn that off. Hey, Nicole and Kim and Brandy and Matthew, Miss Mary, I'm sorry. Here we go. In case you guys didn't know it, I started about 4 or 5 minutes later this morning, and I may go to 6:05 in the future as a compromise. Most of you were okay with a slightly later start. Some of you prefer the way it is, and one or two preferred it even earlier. So I'm trying to match this up with my morning schedule, getting myself and my family out the door. And so I appreciate y'all working with us. It's not going to be much later, if any, so we'll just nudge it a little bit, 4 or 5 minutes here, and it'll be good. Hey, Mike Pate and Sharon Shirley and all of you. Hey, Vanita, good morning to you. Tim Hacker, what's going on up in Kentucky? Hey, Brenda and Joe Perkins, good morning to you. Rhonda Goins. Listen, it's the 10th of August, man. It's going to be like that, and we're going to be in September, and that's good. Hey, Wade. Hey, Buddy. Hey, Kathy. I'm looking for the months that have an R in them. That's what I want. Hey, Heather. Hey, Tina. Good morning. Hey, Rhonda. Get Bubba up and let's go. Hey, Tracy. Tracy boy, good morning. Miss Linda Parker. Good morning to you. Ken Jenkins. Good morning. Julie Henry. Tammy. Good morning. Bonnie Ray from Centerville. Roll Tide soon. That's right. Roll Tide time is soon. You got it. Hey, Sherry. Thank you, buddy. Good morning, Rebecca. Yeah, it's a little rain down here too, Tim. It's good. I'd rather it be cooler and raining than smoking hot. Hey, Monty. Tess, good morning to you. Mary Ann. Yeah. Good morning. Eric Jones down at the Mustang, or are you already at work? It's your daddy's birthday. Well, happy birthday to him, Kim Barnett. Okay, Joe. Joe's got a friend that's going to be taken off, or a friend's family member that's going to be taken off life support today, so just remember them in prayer. There's my grandson wandering around over there. Why, James, crying. Go wash your face and your hair, son. Comb your hair and put on some deodorant. Lord have mercy. Hey, Francis. Miss Francis, that's Red running around over there. Hey, Bobby Odell. All right, here we go. Let's get our cups up. Hey, Patricia Stacy. Toast to you and the Morning Word crowd. God bless you and God bless America. All right, if you have your Bible, we're going to Matthew chapter 8 again this morning. Matthew chapter 8, Jesus has had someone come up to him and say they wanted to follow him. And this conversation followed thereafter. Here we go. Matthew chapter 8, verse 18. And when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave a command to depart to the other side. Then a certain scribe came to him. Now, what is a scribe? A scribe was kind of a religious officer in the political structure of Judaism. They interpreted and were in charge of writing and interpreting the scriptures, the laws. And so this is kind of a person that's this is just not your run-of-the-mill person. This is just somebody a little bit higher in the religious structural organization there called Judaism. And so the scribe comes and says to him, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." You and I would have said, "Man, yeah, let's go." All right, that's what we would have said because we were looking for followers if we're Jesus, right? Jesus is looking for followers. All right, verse 20, listen to what Jesus said. And Jesus said to him, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Then another of his disciples, loose use of the word. I'm sorry, my children are talking back there. Then another of his disciples said to him, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. But Jesus said to him, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. Now that's kind of standoffish at the least, a little blunt and maybe not polite at the worst. You know what I mean? Two guys come up to him. One says, Lord, I want to follow you. And he says, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. What's he mean? Well, before you can get the thought settled on that one, another guy comes up and says, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. Jesus said to him, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. Now, what was going on here? Well, the first person Jesus is telling him is that he said, I'll follow you wherever you go. So Jesus doesn't respond to that in the affirmative. He doesn't say, man, yeah, come on, load up, get your stuff. He tells this person, he goes, foxes have holes to live in and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Meaning that the lifestyle that you expect, that you enjoy now, will drastically change if you choose to follow me. Have you thought about that? This earth is not my home. This person was, like I said, a little bit higher on the totem pole than the average everyday guy. He's got a comfortable life. He's got a comfortable home. He's got a wife and some children, probably a couple of chickens. He's kind of got a routine and he's kind of got it made in the shade, so to speak. And Jesus is telling him in no uncertain terms, this earth is not my home. So therefore, I'm not concerned with the comforts of this world like you are. And I need you to think about this long and hard before you make a commitment. Because this guy made a commitment right here. Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. Commitment. All right, the second guy, he says, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. Now, he's making the same commitment to follow Jesus. But he said, let me first go and bury my father. Now, there's debate about exactly what he means here. But it's pretty much assumed that he means that he's in charge of caring for his father at this time. That his father is either convalescing in his old age, post-retirement, so to speak, using today's terms, and that this guy is not dead yet. But when he dies and his commitment to his father and caring for him has ended, then he will come and follow Jesus wherever he goes. To which Jesus said, follow me, meaning now, and let the dead bury their own dead. Well, how do dead people bury dead people? Well, here's what he means. The first dead means dead in their trespasses and sin, dead in their unbelief, dead in their refusal to follow me themselves. Let them bury the people among them that die. You come and follow me. More literal interpretation is, if you follow me, if you make a commitment to follow me, you have no higher allegiance, no higher commitments than following me. Now, of course, we're supposed to care for our family, but that is the wrong context for this story. Remember, context. What he's saying is, you can't have relationships that are prioritized over my relationship with you and your relationship with me. So one of them, he's addressing the priorities of the comforts of the world. The other, he's addressing the priorities of relationships. Now, here's the reason they're having a problem, and here's the reason today that we have a lot of pseudo followers of Christ, okay? And that is, unlike Jesus, we just make the path so broad that it's all skate. Jesus, when people came to Jesus and said, I want to follow Jesus, he didn't just say, man, put your name down right here, come over here, and let me pray with you. He didn't do that. He looked at him, right here, it's 2 incidences. He looked at these guys and he says, have you thought about this? Have you given thought to this? Because you're making a commitment. Now that's the word, the morning word for this morning is commitment. Do you know what the word commitment means? It means to bind one's self with an oath. You go, well, I can be committed without taking an oath. Well, you may not say it, but it's still a contractual, literally a contractual obligation, whereby you have given your word. These are synonyms: bond, word, pledge, promise, bound, word, pledge, promise. When you make a commitment, when I make a commitment, we've given our word. And our word is our bond. We've made a pledge. We've made a promise. See, that's what a commitment is. And it's not to be broken. You go, oh, well, you know, I'm committed to this, but if it didn't work out, I won't do it anymore. That's not a commitment. See, that's a conditional commitment, which is not indeed a commitment. All right, it's an agreement whereby you say, I'll play as long as the rules stay the same. Jesus said, that's not how this works. When you give your word, your promise, you take an oath, literally, to the Lord to follow him, it's binding. And Jesus says, it's better for you not to make a commitment and than make a commitment and break it. It's better not to make a commitment at all than to make a commitment and break it. If you don't think you're going to be able to follow through, then don't make the commitment. And that's what Jesus is saying. To the guy, he goes, hey, listen, you are comfortable in this world. You're comfortable in life. Following me is going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be the lifestyle that you are familiar with. It's going to change. Have you considered this before you made your commitment? To the next guy, listen, you don't make a commitment to me and then turn around and have higher prioritized relationships than me. Doesn't work like that. I must be the priority of all relationships, and all other relationships fall in their proper priority under my relationship. And so Jesus understood the word commitment. Now, it's to give a promise, to make an oath, to bind oneself, okay? It's a pledge. And today, in today's world, we, just like these two guys right here, we don't really understand the word commitment. If you're committed, you're in it, right? Now, that's the difference between a pig and a chicken when it comes to lunch. A chicken is invested because he just gives an egg for lunch. But the pig is committed because he gives his butt. That's the difference. And so today we look at investments and return on investments. And these guys were looking at investments called ROI, return on investment. And these guys said, hey man, right now this looks pretty good. I'm going to invest my life. If the return on my investment doesn't look good, I'll sell the stock, I'll uncommit, and I'll get out of this relationship, and I'll get out of this job, and I'll get off this team, and I'll get out of this church. See, you got people today that come to church. Let me just throw this in while I'm on my soapbox. Come to church and say, I want to join this church. Do you know what that means? It means that you're pledging yourself to become a part of the family. And I've had people, so help me God, what I'm telling you is the truth. We had a man that attended our church for years. Started dating a girl, she wasn't too keen on our church. All right? But they dated, got married, attended our church for a little while, boot scooted off up somewhere else. Stayed gone for an extended period of time. Came back and visited one day. I came up and slapped him on the back. I go, hey man, it's good to see you again. Here's what he said, looking at me. He goes, man, I know we've been gone. He said, but we're back now, baby. And he said, we're back to stay. And it was the last time I've seen him. to this moment right now. Never came through the door again. Last words out of his mouth. I know, baby, we've been gone for a while, but we're back now and we're back to stay. Never saw him again. That's how we in this world, and particularly in America, look at and frame the word commitment. Basically, it is a conditional investment of my time, my pledge, a conditional word that means that, I'm going to come and play until somebody kicks sand in my face. I'm going to come and be a part of it until it gets difficult, and then I'm going to opt out. I had a friend of mine along these lines. I worked with him, Harry Stone, and Harry was telling me about his daughter wanting to get engaged and wanted to get married. And he knew the boy because they'd been dating a little bit. And so he said, well, we're just going to have, me and my wife, we're going to have a talk with them before they make the step. This is engagement now. Well, maybe they had already been engaged. I don't remember if they were getting engaged or if they were getting ready to move from engagement to wedding, the wedding date. But he sat them down. He goes, now, do y'all both understand that this commitment that you're getting ready to make, it's not like a commitment to go camping, whereby we get all of our stuff and our tent and our bed rolls and our sleeping bags and our coffee tables and our coffee pots and everything, and we go set up our little camp and we're going to do everything. But when the mosquitoes start biting, we just pack everything up, get in the car and come home where it's air conditioned. He goes, listen, guys, when the mosquitoes start biting, he's talking about when difficult times come into your relationship. He said, you can't pack up and go home because you're committed. You're going to go camping. You're going to tough it out. Okay? So my point is this, that Jesus was telling these guys, when you get ready to go camping, you're not going to back out when the mosquitoes start biting. When you get ready to follow me, you can't quit when things get difficult and the life that you're used to changes. When you make a commitment to follow me, you can't say, well, my daddy, or well, my wife, and well, my husband, When you make a commitment to follow me, you follow me. And all other relationships have to take their proper place under me. Commitment. It's the binding, the obligation, the pledge, and the promise that you're to a cause or to a person or to an event. And it's your word, and it's binding. And Jesus says, don't make commitments lightly. Don't make commitments without giving thought to them. So I'm going to close with this. And here's why this is an underlying reason of why Jesus was saying this. Now, this may be backwards to you, but it's the Marine Corps symbol. It says leatherneck for life. And it says, I took an oath. It doesn't expire. Our oaths, our pledges, our commitments, our word in God's eyes does not expire. Commitment, not investment. See you tomorrow. Good Lord willing.